Hello, and welcome to the Lincoln Power Podcast. My name is Nimi Bello, and I am your host, the CEO and founder of Lincoln Power. Community is what we're all about, so link up with us. Today's episode, we will be speaking with the CEO and founder of Strategic Solutions, Nancy Aragbaye. She's my girl, and I want you guys to learn about her. She can also be your girl too. Hey Nancy, welcome girl.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you, and I know we have a lot to talk about. But before we start talking about all of the amazing things that you're doing, let's start by telling the people that who you are. Let's start with there.
So my name is Nancy Aragbaye. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Strategic Solutions and how I got started. My story, I would say, takes back to when I was 5 years old. I've always wanted to be humanitarian.
Wow.
And it was something that I didn't really tell people because it's not really the thing you hear from a 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. However, it was always a dream of mine. I believe that I was put on the planet to serve and to help. Fast forward, it led me to a program called Teach for America. And when I realized that I had an opportunity to teach kids, I was like, absolutely. I mean, I changed from wanting to be an attorney. I went into the classroom to be a teacher. My mother thought I was crazy. She thought I lost my mind and said, you're supposed to go to law school. Fast forward, I learned so much about community. I learned so much about the inequity gap. And it sparked everything that I do today. And so there's a story I want to share with you. There's a little boy, his name is Devarius. I was, of course, his favorite teacher, you know.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't I be? But he used to be in other classrooms flipping desk. I mean, yelling at teachers. He got kicked out of class. He came to my classroom and I asked him, I said, why are you not doing your math work? And he told me that he didn't want to be a doctor. So in that moment, I realized that one, we are failing him because for some reason he didn't make the connection between math and life, but rather he's not going to college so he doesn't have to do his math work. And I asked him what he wanted to be. He told me he wanted to be a doctor. I'm sorry. He told me he wanted to be a barber. And when I asked him, I said, well, what if you can open up your own barber shop? That changed everything. He literally went from flipping desks to walking around with books in his hand in the hallways. I have pictures, by the way. And in that moment, I said, this is not it. I can no longer be in this classroom. I need to figure out how to empower children, how to empower people to follow the things that they want for themselves. Not just pushing people towards college, but pushing you towards your passion and your purpose. And so that is how I birthed Strategic Solutions. And we are a platform that pushes leadership development for the purpose of business success. I'm all about how do we get communities to thrive? Not just exist, but thrive and truly be in our passions and be happy. And so I'm so excited to just be here today and tell you a little bit more about what I have going on.
I'm just so blessed to have you here and just to know you. And now the world is definitely going to know all about what you do and what you're all about. You talked about serving, and I heard you say something about repeatedly talking about empowering. When you think about serving and empowering, what does those two words mean to you?
For me, serving is about putting others first. And sometimes it's undeserving. I'm here for you. I'm here to give you what you need so you can be better. And when I think about just empowering people, so serving and empowering, I just believe is what people should do. And that takes real leadership. I believe, especially in business, you need to think about the impact that you're making on people's lives. Far too often, I see business owners chasing money. But if you chase impact, you're destined to be here long term. But if you chase money, it's just a matter of time before they find the customers find the next best thing. So for me, if you are truly about service, then you are thinking about how can you impact someone's life, and that to me that's a lifetime.
I mean, that's just so powerful and so amazing. Like, there's so much that we can unpack in that statement alone. I think service is definitely something that it's in alignment with leadership. Mm-hmm. And as a woman in a leadership position, can you talk about some of the struggles, the pain points, or even the experiences that you go through daily, with just being in a leadership role?
Yeah, I think that's heavy. It's a lot to unpack. I think there's one thing to be a woman, which women in leadership definitely. I mean, the equity, the gender gap is real.
Yes.
Gender equity is real, but I think it's another layer when you're talking about a black woman in leadership, and then I can even take it further and say an African woman in leadership, and I can even take it a little deeper and say, you know, I'm a dark-skinned woman in leadership.
Wow.
And when you think about what barriers I've had to face, there's just so many. I can be here for months talking about it, but I think the most important thing to draw and that I want people to understand is regardless of any barrier that you encounter, you truly can overcome whatever it is. And if you keep service on the front of the mind, you're gonna trailblaze.
Wow.
You're gonna definitely jump through those barriers, and you'll be able to make the impact that you're trying to have.
I'm just inspired just by your story, your passion, how you just were able to just walk fully in your purpose. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. And you talked about, you know, even being a dark-skinned woman in leadership. To the little girl who's out there that looks just like you, what is a word of encouragement that you want to send out to her to even say, hey, you can also be a boss too, skin color or not?
Mm-hmm. I would say every single woman, every single little girl, every little girl who looks just like me, you have the power to do whatever it is that you want to do. But it's about believing in who you are and believing the gifts that God has given to you. We are all here for a purpose.
Absolutely.
And so when we tap into that purpose, the humans don't matter. That's literally what I say. I say humans don't matter. I'm here to use my gifts and my talents to make other people better. And if you keep that on the forefront, then the barriers and the challenges, it doesn't matter. It's just, again, a matter of time before you overcome.
I mean, I'm just speechless. I feel like my edges are probably somewhere being found. I can't find them right now, but because you said a lot of amazing gems that I think a lot of women, even myself, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm more motivated, I'm more inspired. And I think that should be what it's all about. In every stage in our life, you know, I also have my own struggles too, you know, being a woman in leadership and just being a woman that was in the tech space. There were a lot of things that we can be here all night just talking about that specifically. But I want to talk more about this retreat. You know, that's the one thing that I'm excited about. I'll be there. Lincoln Power will be there supporting you. But I want you to shed a little bit more light on what does this leadership retreat mean to you as a woman and just to everybody.
So I want to take it back to the vision that I received in November. It was November 15th of 2020. And there was just this gravitational pull in my spirit. And I said, I want to take women on a retreat. And I want them to understand the power that they have within them. And so I started to think deeply about what this retreat would look like. And I did some research. Everything I do is research based, you know. But I traced back the oldest bones on the planet. And it's a black woman. They named her Lucy. And her bones, the oldest bones are found in Ethiopia. So I said, wow, the power that a black woman has is the power to birth an entire nation.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if we realize what that means. And so I decided to take women from the diaspora. We have about 9 women from 4 different countries coming together to go to Lagos, Nigeria, to have an experience. And for me, all I want is for that woman to understand that they truly are a superhero, and whatever they're currently doing right now in this moment, that they have the power to 100 times their vision. But oftentimes we are the ones that put limitations on what we're capable of doing.
And even society. I think society puts limitations, you know, from being a mom, being a wife, a sister, a friend. You know, you're supposed to do it like this. It's supposed to look like that. I think sometimes the pressures of society alone, and then the ones that you put on yourself, So you combine the two together, it's kind of like, I don't even know the best way to describe it or the word to describe it, but it's literally like a disaster waiting to happen, because you already know that you want to do something. You know, you already know that you've been called to do something, or you should know, or you should feel empowered to do that thing. But society puts this standard for us, you know, oh, you're a mom. You're supposed to think about your kids, which you should think about your kids, but there's life outside of that. And I think we got to touch on even identity also, if we're going to talk about that. So I think it's amazing what you're doing. I'm excited for it. I want to know how we can even join this virtually if we're not all going to be able to make it.
Yeah, so I think the retreat is really important. Let me say this, and this is why humans don't matter.
Yes.
If you put service on the forefront, the limitations that anyone has for me does not matter. I am the only person that matters. As long as I can validate myself.
Absolutely.
And remove my limitations off of myself, I truly can do anything. And so for me, I felt compelled. I said the entire world needs to experience a fraction, at least just a fraction of what's getting ready to happen, the transformation that's happening in Lagos. And so on October 18th, I'm excited because we are streaming the last day virtually.
Yay!
And so I am asking the world to join us. Our goal is to have 3,000 people stream with us live.
Wow.
If we can have more, I'll be more than
happy. Say
happy.
that number again so they can hear it in the back.
3,000 people to join us live for this transformational experience and this conversation and dialogue about what it means to not motivate a woman, but empower her to be her best version of herself so she can transform her community.
That's so powerful.
And I will say this, the power of a woman, the multiplier effect. If one woman, it's particularly in Africa, again, I'm research-based here, one woman has the power to impact 30 people.
Wow.
So when I say I want to empower women across the world, you know, we are nurturers.
Of course.
You know, we're natural nurturers. And so if I am impacted, if I have wealth, if I have a business, you know it's going to trickle down to my family, my children, my children's friends, because we as women are just natural nurturers and we have that touch. We care for people and we just want everyone to win.
I mean, that's what it should be all about. You know, that's what Lincoln Power is all about. You know, we are all about loving, inspiring, networking, all for the kingdom. And I believe, you know, being the founder of this great platform, that it starts with that. You know, looking out for our community, trying to build generational wealth within our community. And I think that's why I wanted us to even have this dialogue and this conversation in this forum, so that people can see all of the amazing things that you're doing. Like you said, it takes one woman to empower the next. So I'm empowered. And like she said, she wants you to also feel empowered. So October 18th, leadership retreats, Strategic Solutions, Lincoln Power will be sponsoring this event. I will be on ground in Lagos, Nigeria, supporting my sister here. So we want you to join us virtually. So if you want to share the details to our audience so that we can link up with you at the virtual event.
If they go to strategic-solutions.global, they'll be able to go right to that website and register for the event. It is absolutely free. So my hope is that the world, whoever is watching this, that you too will be a part of the amazing experience.
Absolutely. And the retreat will also be live in our mobile app too as well, the Lincoln Power Community app. And you can find all of that stuff on our website, lincolnpower.com. Like I said, we are so excited and we're so blessed to be able to have conversations like this. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing your passion, your purpose, and just your journey with us and inspiring other women. So do you have the gram? Are you on Instagram? Tell us how we can find you and how we can connect with you.
Keep up with us on the gram, Strategic Solutions LLC _. You're able to just see all of the things that we are doing. And not only that, we are giving business tips, leadership tips, so you can have a sustainable business.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about what Lincoln Power is, what we do, and dive in a little bit deeper with our special guest today, Nancy Aragbaye. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a few. Welcome back to the Lincoln Power Podcast. I hope you were able to get a quick break because we have a lot more things that we have to talk about. We're still here with our special guest, Nancy, but I wanted to remind you, if you do not know or were not aware of what we're all about. We're all about all things community and empowerment, which is why we have Nancy Aragbaye here with us still with Strategic Solutions. So we're going to get back into the conversation with her. And I want to talk more about the Black model.
Okay.
So tell the people what the Black model is. I know what the Black model is, but we don't know. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so again, taking it back to how I started Strategic Solutions, I identified a gap within the education system. And so when I realized that 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, that was a problem for me. And so I started to think deeply about what do we need in order to have successful businesses. And as I started to research, I realized businesses typically fail because a lack of financial resources and business planning skills. And so I said, okay, if we're talking about building businesses that have the capability of employing people within a community, we need to focus on business development. We need to focus on leadership development. We need to focus on asset management and building a business credit profile. So what I decided to do was create a model that really tackles the financial resource side of things as well as the business development and leadership development side. And if you master each pillar of the Black model, you have a business that's here for a lifetime.
That's amazing. And I just want to know, when you were coming up with the Black model, what was the inspiration behind it? Was it a personal experience or just from your observations? I know you're in the education system and your background and all that.
I thought about my experience in schools, and I thought about my experience from an undergrad perspective as well as a master's program. And I said, what is missing? I knew my journey as an entrepreneur, and to be honest, it's you wing it and you figure it out. That's just what happens. But I said, what if there was a program? What if there was a business that allowed me to really have the cheat sheet? For me to have the skills that I need to have business success and teach me how to manage people and teach me how to find the money. I said, I need that. And that's what I created. That's what the Black model is. And that's what Strategic Solutions is here for. We are equipping business owners with the exact things that they need so they can have business success.
I think that's so powerful and so amazing. So what I want to know and I want to understand is, how can the audience here today know how to even register for this program? Like, what's the process? Can they go on your website? Is it on your Instagram? What's the best way for them to learn more about the Black model?
So my website, which is strategic-solutions.global, it talks about all of the programs. If you go to the website, you'll see that I have programs under each pillar. So I have business programs, I have leadership development programs, I have asset management programs, and business credit profile building. And so you'll be able to figure out where's the starting point. What I typically tell people, have a consultation. I give free consultations because business is a spectrum. So depending on what your vision is and where you want to go will depend on the entry point that you need to start at the Black model.
And that's awesome. So you guys heard what she said. She does have a free consultation first, so check that out. And I think we're going to be talking about the Black model on the retreat too as well.
Absolutely.
So yep. So if you are not able to get it right now, you can definitely catch it on the retreat too, because that's going to be a segment, I assume.
What I would say, if you are a woman in business, you want to be at the retreat, because the leadership retreat not only is discussing the Black model, but it is a personalized approach to success. So we're talking about transformational change, transformational impact. So any woman in business, any woman in leadership, if you are looking to do amazing things, you want to be on the Leadership Retreat 2022.
Absolutely. Oh, we haven't even finished 2021 and she already promoting 2022. Okay.
The spots are full for 2021.
All right.
The spots are full.
I love to see it. I got my spot is secured, so I will be there. But as we mentioned earlier, if you're not able to be there on ground with us in Lagos, Nigeria, you can still catch the experience through the Lincoln Power app, because we will be broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. So you can definitely sign up. We want to definitely see you there. So link up with us in our app. And Nancy, I definitely want to talk more about leadership. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something that is near and dear to my heart. I know that you have a special niche when it comes to women in leadership specifically. When we talk about women in leadership roles, what are some of the qualities from your perspective that you think is important to be an effective leader?
One big thing for me, I believe empathy is so critical. Really being able to understand a person and why they behave the way that they're doing, understanding, them as a person, understanding some of the struggles. I think it makes you a better leader. It makes you a better manager.
Wow.
So that's one critical thing that I hate to go back to the school system, but it's not taught in schools, right? And so now you're starting to see it a little bit, but that was missing. No one taught me really how to empathize and how to serve somebody. It's just trial and error. And so I think that's one key quality in being an effective leader.
I like that. I think for me, I definitely would agree that being empathetic, and I want to go back to servant leadership a little bit. And I don't know if it's because most of you guys know, or if you don't know, I'm a Scrum Master. And servant leadership is so important to the DNA of all Scrum Masters. And I think it goes in alignment with what you just mentioned about being empathetic. When you serve people, you have to put yourself aside and think about them at all times. So it could be a family issue, it could be something that's going on in their marriage, in their work life. The list goes on and on. So one of the things that I've learned in building up my team, because I am a startup, I am just starting up, is being sensitive to the needs of my team. Being able to actively listen to their needs and their wants. And I think when we talk about being empathetic, I want you to kind of shed a little bit more light on some of the ways that you are empathetic in your leadership.
Yeah, again, I'm people first. And so when I think about serving, and I think about even the women on the retreat, let's go back to the retreat. My vision is to empower the woman to understand her full potential. But sometimes, again, I'm an athlete as well. So I'm like, it's urgency, urgency, urgency. Why? Let's do it now. But when I understand someone, the women that are coming on the retreat, their background, their experiences, their mindsets, then I'm able to understand that, hey, Nancy, they don't operate and think like you. Their experiences are completely different than yours. I need to respect that. I need to understand that. And instead of thinking that something's wrong with them because they're not operating in the way that I am, how do I leverage their experiences and their understanding to truly empower them and make them, and not make them, but empower them to get to the overall outcome? So I think when you have empathy, it just allows you to, when you're able to see someone from their shoes, when you can stand in someone's shoes and feel what they feel, I mean, I think that within itself is a superpower and a gift.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I like the part about experience that you talked about. It's so easy to get caught up in your experience and want to force your experiences on other people. I think it's really, really important and a special skill that a lot of people in leadership have not yet acquired, which is why people get frustrated. And like I know you talked about your stats in the beginning, businesses kind of being shut down early on just because people have expectations. And the expectations come from the experience. Now, when you have those expectations, you can't expect somebody that's on your team to level set with you without building them effectively. So I think when we talk about empathy, I would have to agree that it takes a lot of patience, again, being a leader, because you want to be able to match their skill set also, if you know what I mean. I definitely do want to talk more about that process of building the team. What are some of the pain points? Because I like talking about pain points too, because I like being real. Let's be real. It sounds great talking about all of the great stuff that happens doing entrepreneurship, but I want to kind of digress really quickly and let's talk about the building phase. What were some of the things that you experienced in your leadership as you were building?
So full transparency here. So I was the girl who, let me just do it. I'll do it. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're not doing it right. I'll just do it myself. But that's not effective.
Yep.
And what I started to do was, one, understand that every individual has their own superpower.
Absolutely.
Secondly, how do I build relationships with the people on my team? Far too often I see managers focused on the outcome versus the human first, which it's so surprising. I don't know why they haven't figured it out yet. But if you focus on the human and the relationship, they work harder. And so for me, I've just learned that, you know what, we're all humans. Like at the end of the day, no one is guaranteed to tomorrow. And so how can I be here for the person so they can be the best version of themselves? And that requires, honestly, a relationship and trust.
I cannot agree any less, because as you were talking, I was just thinking about my years working in sales. And that was the biggest thing that we talked about in my Challenger training, is being able to build a relationship with your customer. The same principle applies when you're building a team. If you don't even know your teammate's birthday, it's kind of like, okay, you want me to execute and drive an outcome, and you don't even know their last name. You don't even know what their favorite candy is. You don't even know something that is unique to them. And while you're being a leader. So I do think that focusing on that on that relationship aspect, I do want to, kind of pinch on why that is important. I feel like it shows your leadership flexibility and your capability and your ability to lead effectively and efficiently. Because the relationship piece, as I mentioned, and you talked about that too a lot, is very, very important, because I think you said something. I want to kind of go back, because I think that's a gem that was dropped. You talked about the human and the connection of the relationship. Let's go back to that. Like, what does that mean when you were talking about the human connection and trying to build a relationship?
Well, again, going back to leadership, I think this is where managers miss the mark. It's one thing to manage, it's another thing to lead.
Yep.
I don't want to force you to do anything.
Absolutely.
Like the outcome, here's the thing about leadership. If you're leading properly, you will get to the outcome. Managers are only focusing on the outcome and not the development of the individual. You can't really truly develop something if you don't fully understand it.
Yes.
And so there requires a relationship and trust for me to fully understand you. And when I fully understand you, then I'm able to empower and spark something in you to make you better, to ultimately get to the outcome. And that is what is missing. Relationship is critical. Now, you take it to just a relationship with, I don't know, your partner. You don't just go and get married, right? You have to understand the person. It's a process. You have to understand them. And then also too, the relationship is developed and cultivated, and then you hit the end goal. And we need to look at that with leading our teams and thinking about business. It's the same thing. It's a process. It's a relationship, and you got to cultivate it.
I love that, and it's amazing. All of the things that we talked about today. And Nancy, I just want to say thank you for all the gems that you dropped and your transparency and just talking about the process of just even going after your vision. I think it's so important and it's so powerful for women to own their story and have their voices heard. So all the women that are out there listening, I hope that you were empowered and inspired by Nancy and just kind of watching her and seeing you grow. So I just want to give you your flowers now. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that I was able to have this conversation with you. And I'm looking forward to going on that retreat. Girl, guys, you guys have no idea. I am so excited about being in Lagos, Nigeria. I think it's going to be so powerful. It's going to be life-changing. I'm so proud of you for even going forth and making this vision a fruition, because it's not easy. I know it's not. So let's remind the folks again how they can connect and plug in with the leadership retreat again.
I want to leave everyone with this. Your vision is not about you. And so it requires you to remove all ego and understand it's about the outcome and the impact that you're trying to make. And with that, you can definitely keep up with me on Instagram, Strategic Solutions LLC _. You can catch me on my website and get all the details about all of my programs that I have and the new things that are coming out. It's Strategic Solutions I'm so sorry. It's strategic-solutions.global.
Thank you so much again. And thank you guys for tuning in and watching and just joining the conversation. Again, till next time, link up and connect with us at Lincoln Power on all social platforms. Bye now.